Hello, it's a beautiful day here on TSLNIGERIA TV and you're watching Matters on Ground. Today on the program, we will be discussing issues concerning the protest that rocked the University of Benin, Uniben, a few days ago due to the price hike in late payment of school fees. Now, the charges was 20,000 naira extra. We'll also look at the fresh loan request by President Muhammadu Buhari. And finally, we'll wrap up with the defection of the former Minister of Aviation, Femi, Fani Kayode'S, from the PDP to APC. Now, I'm joined by my co-host on this conversation today. I'll go on a quick break now. When we return, you meet my co-host. I'm Favor of Yanloba. Welcome back. Now I have my co-host in the studio. I have Adana and Favor. Good morning, ladies.
And Faith.
Good morning.
Belated happy birthday to you, Favor. Many more years.
All right, so today we're discussing so many issues. Let's begin with the protest that rocked University of Benin with the extra charge of 20,000 naira. Now, when you saw this protest, what came to your mind?
What just came to my mind is, yes, Nigerian youths are finally awake. We are finally woke. Because I remember I took my mind back to when I was in university. And like I said before the show started, I know I first paid about 16,200 naira as tuition. And when I was graduating, I was paying almost 100,000 naira. How did that even happen? I just wish we were that woke in our time, would have known, would have questioned all of these charges. Because then they would just say, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that. Especially when you are like, you're in your final year and you're clearing and you want to leave for service. They know that that's like a desperate point for you, so they bring up some unnecessary charges that you cannot question at the time because everybody had already paid. So it will just be like a very little percentage of you guys that still want to find out what this money is for, and it will look like it's as if you don't want to graduate. So I was super excited when I saw that all of the students came out in one voice protesting this unnecessary charge. Now the thing is, not everybody who came out to protest are owing school fees. Yeah. Some people have already paid, but even those people who had already paid still came out because they know that they may face this problem in the future. So it's better to tackle it now from the root. So it just shows that we are Nigerian students and Nigerian youths in general are woke and they are ready to, make their voices heard. They are ready to stand in the face of injustice and say, no, this is wrong. We cannot accept this. Because if you check the issue surrounding what happened, the portal was not working at the time. And a lot of people who had the monies to pay couldn't pay. They had to wait till when the portal got open, and they gave a time frame of 2 weeks. If payment was not done, you pay an extra 10,000 naira, and after that 2 weeks, in the space of 2 weeks, an extra 10k, that's 20,000 naira. Where do you expect these students to get money from, considering everything that is going on in the country right now? So yes, I was excited when I saw that students came out, stopped school activities and decided that the charges were reverted. Yeah, it made me really happy.
Yeah, I'm glad you just mentioned, with the economic situation of the country. Now, Adana, let me ask you. Now, having that in mind, do you think that was the right decision for the school management to take, extra 20,000 naira at this point in time?
I think in most universities we have in Nigeria, where you see the highest population is mostly in federal universities. And the major reason why the population is really, really high on the high side is because of the favorable situation of the fees when it comes to the economy in Nigeria. Somebody studying the same course in a private or state university pays more than double of what someone in a federal university pays, and mostly because of the favor it has to the economic system. So I know most people would not, consciously say, I don't want to pay my fees. We have people that would be giving their fees, but we have people that don't have it. So you cannot tell someone that is struggling financially that person has to pay an extra 20,000. And the Vice Chancellor, Lilian Salami, I saw in a statement where she said it leads to poor academic performance. And I'm wondering, what is the relationship between not paying my fees and not doing well in my academics? And she said in her statement, she also said that they saw an improvement because of the hike from 35% of payments to 93%, first time in history in the University of Benin. I don't know, probably that worked out for her, but I don't think that was the best method to have used, because you put so much chaos in the minds of the students. That was why we saw some people even went to her office to cut her power supply, her water supply. If you had done it better, if you had chosen another means to actually pass the message, I don't think the students would have gotten so violent. But wrapping it all up, we saw that there was actually, it was reversed, what I heard, the 20,000 naira for late fee has been reversed. And like Faith said, the voices of the youths are being heard. So
yeah, it was really baffling when I saw it, because these like the vice chancellor, during their time, they had scholarships. They were even free education that enabled them to go to school. And now, parents are struggling to pay school fees. A parent that cannot pay 45,000 naira, you expect the parent to pay 65,000 naira.
And you know what really sounded very absurd to me is the fact that they said if you do not pay, some people would lose their admission. Why would you threaten students with that kind of thing? Why would you tell people to lose their admission? People who are going to school know the importance of why they are in school. I keep saying this thing: if people don't pay school fees, allow them go. All you can do, hold on to that certificate which they want to acquire at the end of 4 or 5 years, rather than tell them that they will lose admission. I've seen people lose admission because of common levies, and all these things are not supposed to be so. So like I said, I'm excited that Nigerian students are finally finding their place.
All right, let's move over to the fresh loan request by President Muhammadu Buhari of $4 billion.
Well, that's
huge, and it's happening.
It's huge. But sadly, we need this loan. Nigeria as a country needs most of this loan to actually complete projects, which is something that saddens me a whole lot, because right now, looking at what the Debt Management Office has as at March 31st, 2021, Nigeria is already on a public debt of $87 billion. And if this loan and other loans that have been requested is granted, you know where we are going to be going to. The debt. How do we intend to pay these monies? That is the question I'm asking. Because the kind of way we operate a democratic system of government, after 8 years, of course, President Muhammadu Buhari is going to leave office and we will elect a new president. Now, that new president may be coming with his own new agenda, probably abandon the projects that have already been on ground and loans have already been approved to, handle these projects and see them till they get finished. And most of the times you see that these projects never get completed. But the intention for the debts and the request for these loans are right. The only thing that I think, makes us look bad in the light, makes the government look bad, is the fact that most of these projects do not get completed and people do not get to enjoy these projects. So it's just like we threw money to the wind and we see ourselves becoming a laughing stock in the face of other countries that we keep, trying to borrow money from. Look at a country like China. Do you think they rate us as a nation? They do not rate us. There are other things that have happened in the course of all of this as a result of us going to borrow money from countries, sign memorandum of understanding that I'm definitely sure we have not even read through to understand what the consequences would be later. So like I said, the intention of this borrowing is right. But the only thing is they should ensure, talking about the Nigerian government, they should ensure that these projects that they are borrowing for are completed, duly completed and functional. And whoever comes into power later should ensure that these things are duly sustained. Because, ask me, where is the Nigerian Airways today? Once upon a time, it was very functional. And Nigerians used to use it to fly. But it's no longer functional. Imagine money was borrowed to acquire those planes and make it sustainable. What would have been the story? We'll still be paying debt for things that we acquired many years ago. So all of these things bother me. But like I said, the intention of the borrowing is right. But let the projects be completed.
But how long do we continue borrowing when we do not complete this project? Because like Obasanjo said, he said the government, the present administration, is incurring debts for the next generation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think apart from continuity, before the Senate approves another loan, there should be a statement stating how the previous loan that was taken was actually spent. Because you can't continue taking on loans. Statement released by Socio-Economic and Rights and Accountability Project says that if this loan is approved, Nigeria will be on a borrowing state of 35 trillion naira. My dear, when are we going to pay for that? And they keep on asking, how many times has Buhari come on to ask for loans? And he doesn't even ask for little amounts. And there's no account of the previous loans that were granted to him. So before another loan should be approved, there should be the country should be aware of how the previous loan was spent. You cannot continue saying you're doing projects. Have we even seen these projects, Faith? You're talking about continuity. Like you said, there's so many projects before Buhari came in. I knew of Shopee, then Goodluck Jonathan. A lot of people benefited from it. When Buhari came in, Shopee died. And a lot of other projects that have died because of change in power, change in government. if contingency cannot even work, let us see how the previous loans are being spent before you come on to take up another loan. And if so many organizations are coming out to talk and you're claiming that you can take legal actions, don't just be speaking and speaking and speaking. There should be legal actions if those accounts are not given, because you cannot continue incurring loans that you won't even have to give accounts for. The next government will be blamed for everything bad that your government did not do. You know, everything bad your government did, rather. Another government that comes in tomorrow will be blamed for your fault. So before another loan should be granted, let us know what the previous, was it March? Buhari asked for a loan, I think it was in March, February of this same year. We don't know what that loan was used for, and he's coming to ask for another one. So before you grant another loan, try to let us know what you used the previous money to.
You know, the funny thing is what they say, like the pen is mightier than the sword. Mm-hmm. Applies to journalism and also applies to our government officials. I'm definitely sure they have documents stating how those loans were expended. But this is the sad thing. Most of the times when these loans are approved and these monies are disbursed for different projects, these monies that are requested for are way higher than the actual amount you need to execute a project. That is one of the major problems we have in Nigeria. Like I saw there was a time that they were demanding 8 million for cutting of grass sometime last year or early this year. And I was like, how would you demand that kind of amount when we know that you're not going to use entirely 8 million naira to cut grass? So most of the projects are heavy projects. Yes, of course, a lot of millions would be sunk in for those projects. But if we are going to, if the contractors themselves are going to be honest, the politicians themselves who are actually giving these contractors the opportunity, because like we've had this conversation before, most of these contracts are given to people, man no man, whoever has been wetting the ground for you is who will get the contract. So if this mug is 100 naira, if you see when a government office wants to buy a mug that is 100 naira, you see as high as 2,000 naira for one mug. So these are things that actually make this, first of all, make the budget really high, and also make the loans that the government is requesting for very high. So if we are going to be honest with ourselves, know that, okay, the naira does not have value on its own, but yes, a certain amount of money can execute a project. Let's actually be honest when it has to do with finance.
For me, I just think these loans, they are not actually used for the right projects. Because we've seen situations where they say the government, they are feeding children in school, and children are at home. They are paying, bringing palliatives. Meanwhile, the citizens did not get any palliatives. So I think this money that they are borrowing is not actually going into the right project, because even at the end, the resources, we use like 70% to, to service previous loans. So it's like we're just at loss. We're moving backwards every now and then. And I still think the Senate should also be they are at fault to an extent, to always approving these loans without questions. Do you think the Senate too should also take time to look into the loans and see if they can approve or disapprove?
They claim that they look into all of these things. But right now, if I was a senator, I'm sure I would have had a lot more to say. But I would just say they are all members of the same group. Whatever they do in unity. Because if you see maybe in the federal house or in the Senate where a particular senator is getting agitated about the problems that Nigerians are facing, you see the way the other senators will be looking at him like, what is wrong with this one? So we already know what these things are. All of them are working together. The presidency, the Senate, the federal house of rep, they are all working together. But my own take is that as you guys are working together, please work together to do the right thing. That's it.
And there was a period where a list, was leaked on the internet. Whether it was true or not, we do not know. I think about the amount senators are paid yearly. There was no confirmation. But if there's an iota of truth to that list and the amount we saw for wardrobe and newspaper and so many other things that the senators are allowances that don't even make sense, bicycle allowances and the rest that don't actually make sense, and they are being paid for it, I don't think they would actually, have the mind to bite the mouse that is feeding them. So they would want to keep quiet and actually swallow every other thing, because the Senate are supposed to checkmate all these loans that are. Have you ever seen them disapprove any loan from the presidency? I don't think so. So why is it that there's no loan that has been actually questioned and we the public get to hear about it? Because they are actually benefiting from it, and they cannot come and bite the same mouth that that is feeding them. So
no, you just mentioned, biting the hand that's feeding you, which will lead me to FFK, Femi, Fani Kayode'S, the former Minister of Aviation that has left PDP to APC. Now, Faith, I don't understand these political parties. Sometimes I fault them because when you know the integrity that your political party carries, you will not want to admit some politicians into that party. So what do you make of this?
Okay, just this morning I was going through the news and I saw that most of the party faithfuls, APC party faithfuls, are not exactly happy with the acceptance, the way Femi Fani Kayode'S was accepted to the party. But you know how these groups work. PDP, APC, ABGA, ADC, whatever it is, all of these parties and all of these politicians work together. I'll take your minds back to President Muhammadu Buhari's son's son's wedding. In Kano, we saw most of our fave politicians there who actually belong to the PDP and other parties. So they all still eat from the same plate. It's the reality TV show. We are the viewers. But when it has to do with somebody like Femi Fani Kayode'S, I am not in shock. I don't know why a lot of you guys are shocked. Let us look at his track record. He was with the APC, badmouthing the PDP. And then he joined the PDP and was badmouthing the APC. And now he's back to the APC. I think he has a personal problem. A problem of not knowing how to control his mouth, especially when it seems like if he's no longer in good terms with let's use a particular person or a particular group, he will do everything within his power to badmouth that group. I'm not just going to look at it in the aspect of his career, which happens to be politics. Let's look at his personal life. He has been with several women, not just as girlfriends, as wives. He would marry this one, it will not work out, and he will say she was a bad woman. He will go on to the next one, marry, it will not work out, she was a bad woman, and he will be he's with a fresh woman right now, fresh girl right now. We are only counting down to days or weeks or months when he will come out to say this particular lady was not who he thought she was. So if that kind of man can be like that in his relationship, how much more his career? At the end of the day, we have seen evidences. He even said that he rather dies than join the APC. He has insulted Buhari several times, saying that the man is clueless and does not know what he's doing. But here he is right now, back in the APC. I'll also remind us when he said Nigerians should not take the COVID-19 vaccine, that it is not safe. And then he went to Dubai to secretly take it, and when it was out in the open, he said, well, he did not do his research right, he was misinformed, that we should go ahead and take the vaccine. I think he has a personal problem. He has an attitude problem, and he should fix it, because he's not the first politician to defect. He's not the first politician to leave one party to the other. Why is his own making the news? Because of all of the things he had said in the past. Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, has moved from PDP to APC. Of course, it came as a shock, but yeah, we had to sweep it under the carpet because we never really saw him come out to dance and call APC names or call Buhari names. I think David Umahi in Ebonyi State did the same thing. Everybody was we are shocked, but yeah, looking at somebody like this who rather put his life on the line, said he rather dies. Can you ever take anything that comes out from this kind of person's mouth seriously? No, and he claims to be a leader.
As soon as he entered APC, he said Buhari is not the kind of person that we thought.
He's a joker. He's a big clown.
Now, which will make me question, you know, do you think before you say things, where does integrity comes in?
He lacks
It's like a dog going back to
his own vomit.
He lacks it. And when they asked him on live television if it's financial constraints that's making him make this decision, he got very angry. He flared up. What else does he look like? What else does he look like? I feel like he's going through a lot financially, because you not tell me you're coming to work together with people to ensure that the nation moves forward.
And I feel all the political parties should just merge, so we know we have one political party, rather than, because we are recycling the same political leaders here and there. You know, now election is coming, 2023. We are still going to have same leaders going from this party to this party. So are we voting for the parties, or we are voting for the leaders?
Us as a people, we have gotten used to seeing our politicians moving back and forth. And the election is close by, like you said. And, you know, a statement released by the Progressive Governors Forum, it says that someone like Femi Fani Kayode'S has a venomous nature. You saw his statements. There was even a video interview that, you know, his fellow politician, Dino Melaye, posted, where he was accusing Buhari of certain criminal acts and how he swept it under the carpet and so many other things. In quotes, he said, I'd rather die than, you know, get back to this rat-infested sheep of APC. Filthy rat-infested sheep
his words
of
are not his buns.
His words. He also came out to say that everyone in APC, they're all looters. So is he trying to tell me that now that he has come back to join the same party he accused everyone of being looters, does that make him any better than them?
You've answered the question yourself.
Does it make him any? Does it mean that he knows what's going wrong, but just because of his personal whatever, he chooses to actually join the party? So I think Femi Fani Kayode, like we've all stated, is not a person of integrity at all, and we should not actually stick to his word. Whatever he chooses to do in politics, I think it should be in his own personal favor and not for us. Okay, it's been such a wonderful time today on Matters on Ground. We've looked at the educational system, we've looked at the economic system and the political system, and all we have to say today is that we think better decisions should be made in Nigeria for the people and by the people. Our politicians, our leaders in different sectors, better decisions should be made. Thank you so much for joining us today on Matters on Ground. It's been an amazing time, but don't worry, we'll be back on Wednesday for Hot Stuff Wednesday. Do what to follow us on all our social media platforms at TSL Nigeria TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TSL Nigeria Space TV. Till we come your way again, I'm Wana Dana.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.